Mafia, what's going on? It's Dave Myers from Built in Buffalo. We have some news that broke yesterday that Jordan Phillips is joining the Buffalo Bills for his fourth time. A lot of the conversation has been 50-50. Most of the conversation has been, is this a good thing? What are we doing? Why are we doing this again? What does this mean for the roster? I'm going to go over all that today. The word came out yesterday, kind of came out of nowhere, that Jordan Phillips, and this is from Tom Pelissero, so this is a trusted source. This is something that it's an NFL insider guy. This is a trusted source. This is something that's happening, and I don't know the thought process from Brandon Beane. I don't know the thought process from the Bills organization. I'm going to try to break it down. There's some guys that we don't know what the future holds. There's some guys like 𝐟𝐨𝐫𝐿 who is going to be out for the first 6 games. So what does that mean? Say what you want about Jordan Phillips, the person. This is not anything, an indictment on what he is. We all know that he's the ultimate hype man, right? He's a guy that is great in the locker room. He's a guy that in small doses the past couple years, the last 2 stints, we'll say, he's had small doses of, being an effective rotational defensive tackle, a big one-tech run-stuffing defensive tackle. I mean, even as recent as the game against the Chiefs, in the postseason, he made that nice play. I believe it was on 3rd down that forced the Chiefs to kick a field goal, and it was a nice play. It was like, oh, there's Jordan Phillips. So if you look at the room, right, obviously you have the guys that I believe are locks to make the roster. Ed Oliver, right, a guy who the Bills took in the first round, a guy that Sean McDermott loves. We've seen a lot more this offseason, training camp, preseason. We've seen a lot of stuff practice. We've seen a lot of stuff with Sean McDermott, visibly on the sides, talking with Ed Oliver, coaching up Ed Oliver. I believe at this point we know what Ed Oliver is. He's not going to be Aaron Donald. He's just not that guy. He's going to be probably a top 15 defensive tackle, and that's okay because he's good. He's not great, but he's good. He's good at what he does. A couple seasons ago, he had 9.5 sacks, and that was right after he got his big contract. So you have Ed Oliver. I think that's your 3-tech. That's a guy who's going to be here. And they drafted 𝐃𝐨𝐧'𝐿 Sanders, right? 𝐃𝐨𝐧 Sanders was a guy that they thought highly of back in April during the draft. They moved up in the 2nd round to grab him. Every account that I've heard of 𝐃𝐨𝐧 Sanders in training camp, in practice, he's looked really good. Then you have Deone Walker, who I think everybody has fallen in love with. Deone Walker. He's built like a 1-tech defensive tackle, but he plays like a 3-tech defensive tackle. He's light on his feet. Obviously, everybody saw Ed Oliver came out and was like, he's a dancing bear out there, which it's good and bad, I guess. He's light on his feet so he can avoid some blocks and things like that. But if you want him to be a true 1-tech defensive tackle, you're going to want him to be a guy who eats up space. And I feel like the Bills really want to kind of mold him into whatever they want to mold him into, whatever that looks like, as long as he can stay healthy and the back holds up, right? Then you have DaQuan Jones. Now, DaQuan Jones last year was not the DaQuan Jones of 2 years ago before he got injured. And even when he came back in the 23 season after his injury, he just wasn't the same player. The beginning of the 23 season, he looked dominant. He looked really good. He looked like that true 1-tech that could play next to Ed Oliver, that can stop the run, and he looked the part. He looked like the guy that, the Bills gave a contract to, deservedly so. And then last year, I felt like he was, I don't want to say he was a shell of himself, but he wasn't the DaQuan Jones that we know. Now, there is an aspect of having him and having a value of having him on the roster for that room, right? There's a lot of young guys on that defensive line, but it's the contract, right? As we all know, the Bills are just over $1 million left in salary cap space. So Brandon Beane has always said, I need to have some money for in-season moves, roster wire moves, things before the season starts, guys elevated from the practice squad, all kinds of stuff, trade deadline, things like that. So DaQuan Jones, to me, could be the one guy that, I believe he's 33. He could be the one guy that is the odd man out of the room if this Jordan Phillips move symbolizes anything, right? Then you have Dwayne Carter. If you remember, Dwayne Carter was the draft pick that the Bills received, the third-round pick the Bills received from the Kansas City Chiefs when they traded back twice and drafted Keon Coleman. So the Chiefs sent the Bills a third-round pick. They used that third-round pick for Dwayne Carter. A lot of people were high on Dwayne Carter. A lot of people looked at his college tape and said, hey, this guy, it looks the part. Like, he looks like he can absolutely contribute to this defensive line. My thing all along with Dwayne Carter, great guy. I think the Bills love him and what he is as a person in the locker room. But I don't know developmentally if he's at where they want him to be at this point. Now, that could be by the Bills doing. That could be an 𝐬𝐨𝐫𝐞 type situation all over again, where lose weight, gain weight. With Carter, it's like play 3 tech, play 1 tech, play 3 tech, play 1, instead of just giving him one spot on that line to just kind of learn and kind of progress at. Obviously, he was a rookie. He missed some time with an injury. So that's who's on the roster. And then you have Larry Ogunjobi, right? The Bills prorated his salary because of the suspension. So Larry Ogunjobi will be out for the first 6 games. Then the Bills have the bye week 7. So he'll be back week 8. He's getting paid over $4 million. I'm pretty sure he's going to be on this roster. And I feel like Brandon Beane signed him in free agency, gave him a decent contract before it was prorated, and felt highly of his play. Came over from the Steelers. The Steelers played a 3-4 style defense. I don't think that really suited Larry Ogunjobi's play style. And I feel like the 4-3 is going to work more for him as far as run stuffing and getting after the quarterback. That's, I think, what they want from him. We have to talk about what the Bills' vision potentially was and what it is now. During the draft, I was highly outspoken about the fact that the Bills don't need a true one-tech defensive tackle. Everybody, the film people, the next-gen stats, the analytical people, they were all talking about the Bills need a true one-tech to play next to Ed Oliver because DaQuan Jones is getting older. They need to find his replacement. And then the Bills went, and obviously they drafted Maxwell Hairston first because cornerback was obviously a bigger need. And then they took TJ Sanders. They moved up aggressively to get TJ Sanders. And if you look up at the makeup of TJ Sanders, he's not built like a one-tech DT. He is a 3-tech. He is just like Ed Oliver. He's a smaller, leaner defensive tackle. So then the Bills draft Deon Walker in the 4th round. So now we're like, okay, so then there's your 1-tech. But then if you watch Deon Walker play, he plays like a 3-tech. He's big. He's a huge, massive mountain of a man, but he plays like the style of a 3-tech. I think they're trying to evolve the defensive tackle position. We're not talking about edge here. We're talking about the defensive tackles. I feel like they're getting guys that are willing to win their matchups. If that's a 1-tech, a 3-tech, whatever it is, I feel like they're just looking for physically aggressive, dominant type defensive tackles that will get after the quarterback, create pressure, win their one-on-ones, and help in the run defense. Because as we all know, since Sean McDermott's been here, the run defense has been the Achilles heel of this team. So you look at the landscape of the Bills' defensive tackle room and you're like, okay, they're going for quicker, faster, aggressive, athletic guys that can get to the quarterback. But then you have yesterday happen where Jordan Phillips, and it's reported that he's not going to be signed to the practice squad. He's going to be signed to the 53, and Jordan Phillips even put out a picture on his Instagram of his lock. Why are we reverting back to Jordan Phillips? And again, I'm not knocking Jordan Phillips at all. I'm just saying we've been there. We've done that. Is there not any other options? We went with this youth movement, right? We went with last year taking Dwayne Carter. This year taking TJ Sanders and Deion Walker. Like, they have gone with the youth movement, and then you have a veteran like DaQuan Jones who's still on, he's on contract, so he's here, right? And then you have Ed Oliver, who is still on the younger side of 30. So to me, it's a head scratcher. To me, it's like, I don't know if it was a panic move because they weren't impressed with how training camp and preseason went at the defensive tackle position. I don't know if this means there's moves coming. That's why I put it right there on the graphic. I don't know if this means that maybe Dwayne Carter is going to be part of a package in a trade coming up. I don't know if this means that DaQuan Jones is going to get released and they're going to save a couple million cap space. It's very interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think about bringing back Jordan Phillips.